Okay, let's get right into it. What we're talking about today isn't some far-off sci-fi concept. It's not a possibility, it's a reality, right now. We're going to break down the architecture of what's called biological mining. And you need to understand, this isn't a theory. It's a system that is already standardized, it's patented, and it's out there, deployed as we speak. So what even is biological mining? Well, think of it as an economic model where the raw material being extracted is you. I'm not just talking about your data, your clicks, or your likes. We're talking about the very functioning of your body and your mind, captured and sold almost always without you ever knowing or agreeing to it. And this is the core idea that makes the whole thing work. This quote isn't a metaphor. It's a technical and legal reclassification. The moment the human body stops being seen as a user of technology and starts being defined as a component within it, well, all the rules change. The old boundaries for what can be done to it just get erased.
Now, you might think this redefinition happened in some secret meeting or a dark manifesto, but it didn't. It happened right out in the open, hidden in plain sight inside boring, technical international engineering standards. This is the foundation, the bedrock of the entire architecture we're about to uncover.
So let's look at the proof. This right here is IEEE 802.15.6. Now, that sounds super boring, right? A bunch of numbers. But it's absolutely crucial. It's a global standard for what's called a wireless body area network. And buried in there is a mechanism called human-body communication. And what does that mean? It means exactly what it sounds like. It officially designates the human body as a transmission medium. The standard even picks a specific frequency, 21 megahertz, because, well, that's the perfect frequency for sending signals through our saline-based tissue. So let that sink in. From an engineering standpoint, you're not just a user of the network anymore, you are the network. Your body is the wire. Now, that first standard, that required devices to actually be on or in your body. But of course, technology never stands still. The new standard, IEEE 802.11bf, you might know it as Wi-Fi sensing, it just gets rid of that limitation entirely. It literally transforms the Wi-Fi routers that are already in our homes and offices into remote, contactless biometric radar systems. The physical wire that was your body, it just became an invisible mesh that's all around you. So what can this new Wi-Fi radar actually see? Well, it can detect the tiny 5mm movement of your chest when you breathe. It can measure the 0.5mm micro vibrations on your skin from your own heartbeat. It can even identify you with up to 94% accuracy just by mapping the unique way you walk. And get this, it does all of this through walls. This isn't a guess. The foundational patent for this technology was granted to New York University. It's a done deal. Okay, so once that network infrastructure was established, once we became the network, a whole arsenal of patents popped up to weaponize our everyday devices for, you guessed it, biological extraction. Let's break these down in tiers, based on just how deep the invasion goes. Tier 1 is what you'd call direct reading. These are the technologies that are literally looking right at you. For example, a meta patent describes using your phone's camera to read the tiny invisible color changes in your face. Why? To measure your heart rate and swap ads in real time based on how you're feeling. Qualcomm has a patent to read your emotions by detecting the micro-level heat changes on your skin. It's all right there. Tier 2 gets a little sneakier. It uses the devices we already trust as Trojan horses. There's a Google patent that details how the very earbuds you might be wearing right now can measure the resonance of your inner ear canal to figure out your posture and your temperature. Apple patented using the unique electrical signal of your heartbeat, your ECG, as a continuous biometric ID. And your keyboard? Nope, not safe either. There's another patent that uses inaudible sound to map your finger movements and figure out what you're typing. And Tier 3, this is where it moves beyond devices entirely. Now it's about capturing data from the invisible fields that are all around us. Intel has a patent for tech that uses Wi-Fi backscatter to sense your presence and your breathing right through the walls of your home. Researchers have proven you can steal data just by encoding it in the imperceptible flicker of a device's tiny LED light. And others have patented ways to reconstruct your private conversations just by aiming a laser at a nearby bag of potato chips and reading its vibrations. I'm not making that up. So you have to ask, why? Why is all of this incredibly invasive data being collected? The answer is simple. Because it fuels a brand new kind of economy, one where the product isn't your data anymore, it's your actual thought process. The economic term for this is biological proof of work. You've probably heard of proof of work for things like Bitcoin, right? Where computers solve hard math problems to create value. Well, this is the same idea, but it forces the human brain to solve problems. That cognitive labor, your thinking, is then harvested as a commodity. And its main purpose? To train advanced AI. So here's how that cycle actually works. First, the system deliberately creates a glitch in your environment, something that just feels wrong or out of place. This forces your brain to do involuntary work to try and make sense of it. Third, and this is the key part, the system doesn't capture your answer. It captures how your brain worked to solve the puzzle, your unique solution pathway. And finally, that messy, creative, uniquely human logic is fed to an AI, training it to handle ambiguity in ways that it could never learn on its own. So this is the end product. This is what's being sold. It's not about what you click on anymore. It's about harvesting the raw processing power of your biology. The unique, messy logic of human consciousness has become the new oil. Up until now, we've just been talking about reading your data, passively collecting it, but the architecture goes a step further. We're now moving from extraction to active influence, and this is where we find the most direct, undeniable evidence of an intent to control. This right here is the smoking gun. United States patent number 6506148B2. And the title of the patent is Nervous System Manipulation by Electromagnetic Fields from Monitors. This patent explicitly, and I mean explicitly, details how to use the screen you're looking at right now to manipulate your nervous system. It works by pulsing the screen's light at a subliminal level, a flicker you cannot consciously see, but it affects your sensory nerves directly, completely bypassing your conscious mind. And it's not random. The frequencies it specifies, 0.5 to 2.4 hertz, are the known, documented resonance frequencies of the human nervous system. The purpose, stated in the patent, is to lock a person's body into a desired state, like relaxation or arousal, all without their knowledge or consent. And no, this isn't some isolated, crazy idea. This table shows a direct, one-to-one link between specific frequencies, detailed in granted patents, and their documented biological effects. You've got 7 Hz for nausea induction, 100 Hz for brainwave entrainment, 95 gigahertz for causing non-lethal pain by heating the skin. The capability to directly influence human biology with targeted energy is a patented, documented, and proven reality. Now, this system is not harmless. Its effects are not theoretical. The damage it causes is now being measured by doctors and, finally, being recognized by lawmakers. This is the documented fallout. Peer-reviewed medical studies are now quantifying this damage. One study found a shocking 41% increase in the reactivity of the amygdala, that's your brain's fear center, after exposure. Another documented a 23% drop in the activation of the prefrontal cortex, the very seat of your executive function and rational thought. This isn't a feeling, this is measurable physiological harm. The good news is the legal world is slowly starting to wake up. In 2021, Chile actually became the first country in the world to amend its constitution to protect mental privacy. Here in the States, places like Colorado and California have passed new laws specifically to protect neural data as sensitive personal information. This is a big deal. It's legal recognition that a whole new category of harm exists and that we have to do something about it. And that brings us to the unavoidable conclusion. This is not a theory. It's not a conspiracy. The engineering standards that redefine the human body as a wire have been ratified. The patents that weaponize our environment and our devices have been granted. The technical architecture is fully operational. The only thing left, the only variable in this whole equation, is for us to collectively recognize what is happening and decide what on earth we are going to do about it.